Hi everyone, my name is Cole, and in this little tutorial I'm going to show you how you can easily use the thousands of Megascans textures materials in my Spline Walls pack. If you don't know, thanks to Epic Games, the Megascans library is now free to all Unreal Engine 4 users. So head over to the Quixel website, download Quixel Bridge and Quixel Mixer if you want, and then just log in with your Epic Games account and you'll have access to all this amazing content for free. When you open Quixel Bridge for the first time, you can just log in with your Epic Games account and then you'll see all these thousands of materials and stuff. You can go through this and look for something that you like. I found in the walls section under bricks, I found this Roman aqueduct material that I quite liked. So we'll use this for the example. You can choose any of the materials that you want. Under download settings, you just want to make sure that you are downloading the 4K version, and then just hit download, and once it's downloaded you'll find it here in your downloaded section. Cool. So now we need to export this to Unreal Engine, and the default way would be to, I think by default, Unreal Engine selected here. And if you export it in this way, it creates a really nice master material for you with the displacement and everything working and set up. But that won't work perfectly with the walls, with all the vertex painting and stuff like that. So the best way for us to use this is to select a custom disk export and then just set your destination over here. And 4K, that's fine. Cool. And one thing we want to change is in the advanced settings. When you open this the first time, you'll see it'll be $ID, and that means the naming will use the ID of the material and give you this hex value over here. So we can just remove this and call it whatever we want, Roman Walls or Roman Wall 01. Cool. Now you see it'll automatically name it that with all the extensions. And then to keep it the naming convention the same as the default materials, I changed the albedo to base color and I changed the displacement to height. And then we also want to go over here to the customize maps, check pack channels, and then open this, and then I renamed this to rough met EMAO. And that means the roughness, the metallic or the metalness, the emissive and the AO channels are all going to be packed into a single texture. So this is just the naming convention that I used for the default textures, so I'm going to use this here as well. Then make sure this is on PNG, RGBA, 8-bit, and then for the red channel we're going to select roughness over there. For the green channel we're going to select metalness, if we can find it. There we go. Now the blue channel is usually the emissive channel that I used for the sci-fi materials and stuff like that. This channel obviously doesn't, or this material obviously doesn't have any emissive qualities, so we can just set that to value and set that to 0. And then for the alpha channel we'll select AO, ambient occlusion. And then remember to hit save. Cool, and then we're ready to export. So we can just hit export. And this should just take a few seconds depending on your hardware. Cool, and we are done. Now we can open up the folder we exported the textures to, and you'll find this new folder there. Cool. And you'll see we've got separate ambient occlusion maps and roughness maps as well, but those two maps are packed into this packed map that we made here, or texture. So we can just go ahead and delete these if you want. And we've got these four: the base color, the height, the normal, and the packed one. Cool, now we can head into our Procedural Walls project. In the textures folder I made a new little Megascans folder just to keep everything neat and tidy. Cool, and we can just drag and drop these textures in here. Cool. And once that is done, one thing we just want to do, or a few things we just want to do, is go into our packed texture. And because these are different maps packed into a single texture, we want to just disable sRGB, or else our maps will be a bit off. And then also for our height map, we can just set that to grayscale. Cool. Now we can just create a new instance for ourselves. We can just copy the parallax instance of any of these channels basically. I'm just going to use the bricks parallax instance, duplicate that, call it M Roman wall 01, and then open up that. Cool. And now we can just plug in our textures into these. You'll see there's, for the base color and all these things, there are two versions. There's a new version and an old version, and that allows us to adjust between the age of these textures. In our example over here now, we only have a single age for our Roman textures. So we're just going to use each one for both of the new and the old versions. So we can just click there, type Roman. I like to copy and paste this each time, then you don't have to retype it every time. So we've got the base color, then our height in both of the new and old versions. Normal, and then a packed one as well. Packed, and there we go. Good to go. Cool. One thing you may notice is that the parallax occlusion mapping, the bump maps basically, isn't coming through as strongly as with our default textures. And that's just because the Megascans textures have a bit of a smoother height map to them. So what we can do is just adjust the contrast of these height maps. So what I found for this specific one, if we set the brightness to 2.5 and the brightness curve to 3, it'll be a bit more contrasty. Cool. So now we can see it should be starting to stand out a bit more than we can see over there. And what we can do even further is just up this a bit. Let's make it 0.015. There we go, quite like that. But you can play with those values, and it'll differ depending on the texture that you chose. So just adjust these settings in the texture so that you have a nice black to white ratio. Cool. Now we can apply this to a wall. So let's just put a wall into our world. Make that a bit larger or higher. I think let's add a pillar to the end as well, and remove the wall top. For the specific material, I don't think we need a wall top. Cool. Now we go down to our custom wall material, and we find our new material over there, and add it. There we go. Cool. I'm going to adjust the tiling just like that, and then just adjust the offset. There we go. Awesome. And that's that. Because we did it in this way and we still use the default materials that I made for the system, it allows us to still do the vertex painting for the moss in this case. If you made two different materials, one old and one new, you'll also be able to adjust the age and paint age in certain places. So let's just go to the wall settings, enable use vertex paint, then go to our vertex paint settings or tab, and the green channel is where we get the moss, and the darker this is, the more moss there's going to be. So we can just find a nice value that we like. And because we use the height maps and everything as well, the moss should start to come in naturally with in the right places, in the low spots and stuff. Cool. Let's make it a bit smaller maybe. Add some more in certain spots. There we go. Cool. That way you can add any of the thousands of Megascan textures into my wall system within just a couple of minutes. In the next video I'll show you how to use Quixel Mixer to make a new and old version of a Megascans material, and that'll allow you to use the age slider here, age, because now it's not going to have any effect because our new and old ones are the same. So that'll allow you to use that and allow you to also paint age in certain spots. But that'll be the next video. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for all your support and feedback. I really appreciate it, and have an awesome day.